Hey guys, it's Matt with Olympus Reptiles, and today we have a really, I think, an exciting topic. We're going to talk about dealing with, I hate using the word aggressive, but let's say overly defensive ball pythons. Mean little bastards. We're going to talk about how you deal with them. But before we do that, camera guy Kurt, he's on top of things. He pointed something out to me before we got this started, and I was like, hey, do you realize this is going to be our 100th video? Which it didn't. But it's really cool. So we're pretty sure this is going to be that landmark 100th video. Which, guys, is kind of crazy to think that we've been at it long enough to hit 100 videos. So those of you that have just joined us, or those of you that have been here for the entire ride, I want to say thanks. We really do appreciate it. Stick with us. We plan on doing great things. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep improving what we do. We're going to keep making really cool snakes. And hopefully you guys may learn something from us. We may learn something from you. And we can make this symbiotic hobby keep on going. To those of us that don't like us and the haters we have, y'all can still bite it. But let's go ahead and pull out what I think is probably one of our angrier snakes usually. And that's this girl here. And she's in shed. So we'll see how she's going to do. I swear, you guys are probably like, every snake he pulls out is in shed. I don't plan that. It just kind of happens. Now, she may not be as she normally is because of the shed, but typically, and you can see, she's just stiff. And most of the time, she's like a cannon fire. But now that she's blind, she's really not too bad. But what you do with these is, when you have one, and let's say she's focused on you, okay? And I have seen this snake actually get so angry it'll rattle its tail, even though it doesn't have a rattle. There we go. That's what we're dealing with. So you can see now, there she is. She's doing the tail shake. Do you see that?
Yep.
This is an extremely defensive ball python. So how I'm going to deal with it, because she's going to probably be this way even when she's an adult. We've had her for a while. I thought she'd calm down, and she hasn't much. She eats well. She's just honestly kind of a bitch. I mean, I hate to say it, but she is. But that's her right. So what we do is we show her something, distract her a little harder, and then we don't come from the front. We'll always come from the back. And pick her up from the back, and see, and now we're not giving her something to bite. And now she's still focused. She's still angry. Still stiff. How tense and stiff the body is. Something else you can do with these girls is, again, you can already see she's already loading back up. She's ready, and again, we're going to go from the back right here, give her something to look at, focus on. We're just going to cover her up, and you see what happens. Even on a bigger snake like that, when you cover that head, and I'm not being aggressive or mean to it, I just literally put my hand over it. Now look what we're doing. We're balled up. Because all this tail shaking, this striking out, this lashing out at me, it's all defensive. Okay? Yeah, I said she's a bitchy snake, and she really is, but it's all defensive. And so when I do something that changes that defensive behavior, now she goes into the classic ball python hiding her head. You see, it didn't take much. I always like to give them a distraction, which is usually my offhand, something to look at. I honestly don't like being bit. It's no big deal when you get bit. Then I got to go disinfect and clean up, and it's a pain in the butt. So I give them a distraction, and I just cover them really quick, and they roll into a ball. And you can see it'll work on other snakes. I mean, we'll put her back up since she's in shed. I've already pissed her day off enough. You know, this one right here, she's usually pretty well behaved. But again, she's a snake that if I go at her face, you can see she's set up, and she's mostly looking for food. So this is a different kind of response. She knows we're going to feed her here soon, and that's what she's looking for. So again, I give her a distraction. I can pick her up from the back. You know, set that to the side. And if I want her to go into a hide, just cover her up. And see, now we're back to hiding her head in the coil. So it's really not that hard of a deal, and I have never been bit covering one up like that. And if you do get bit by a ball python, especially one of the two sizes I've shown you, it's not a big deal. It really isn't. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to break anything. But the minute they feel secure, see again, go back to hiding. So that's one of the ways that I deal with that. It's one of the few little tricks that I've learned. And you're probably saying, well, yeah, you're doing it with really little bitty snakes. And to an extent, you're right. They're small. This girl's been a little bit of a pain lately. This is her first year breeding. I think she's angry about it. Not sure she knows what's going on. But I can do the same thing with a larger one. I can give them something, and then if I come, I hide the head. Look, we're hiding her head. We're going to hide her head in the coils. So it does work on a larger snake too. I'm really excited about this. You can start to see that body shape taking form in the back there. Look at that. See that? You're going to see it again. I can just cover it up. We just go and hide her head. Calms them right down. They feel like they're in a dark hole. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Can't wait till she has babies. In case anybody's curious, bred to a banana. I think banana goes really well with darkening genes. So that was what I did. So fingers crossed for that. Alright, and that's kind of how I deal with some of the more angry or aggressive ball pythons. Now that being said, you got to think when you're doing that, because I have made the mistake of, I get so used to doing the head cover thing, that I did it to a retic once. Just not thinking, bad idea, okay? It worked. The retic looked at me like, man, you stupid. And it didn't pop me, not that time. But, and then it dawned on me as soon as I did it, as my hand was still moving, I was thinking, what are you doing, you moron? It's a retic. And I've also tried it with carpet pythons, not thinking, because I work with ball pythons so much more. And a carpet python does not appreciate you covering the head like that. So it works on ball pythons, but that is not, that cover to put them in a ball is not something I would suggest to do to all snakes. It is kind of a species-specific trick. I wouldn't do it to the Angolan we showed the other day. I wouldn't do it to carpets. I wouldn't do it to retics. And for God's sake, never do it to something venomous, because you will pay for that. So just, use that little trick on ball pythons, but nothing else. Kurt, do you have any questions?
How about, like, today we're, feeding later on. So usually they're maybe a little, hungry and a little aggressive on feed days. Is there, like, a way to kind of, like, properly open a cage or, like, watch yourself?
Yeah, there is. And the best way to do it on, like, these tubs, and that's a good question, because I screw this up all the time, especially on tight tubs, is I grab it here on the lip, and don't put your thumbs here, and just slide it open. If you're really nervous about being bit, you can use a hook. I have had snakes fly out at me when I open the tub like that. It happens. What you don't want to do, and it's really easy to do on a tighter tub, is put your thumbs here and push it open like that. And use those thumbs for leverage, because then these are hanging over. If you got a snake that's really ready to eat and he sees that movement, it's small, it's warm, he's going to have a go at you every now and then. I've been bit on the thumb. Oh God, I don't know how many times now I've had that happen. And I know, Kurt, you took one doing the same thing, right? With Sin. There's that cough. I'm about done with it, I promise. He opened a tub, and these are a little tighter fitting, so he pushed with the thumbs here instead of just pulling there, and she made him pay for it. She popped him. And it was just a quick bite, realized it wasn't food, and she released and looked at him like, oh, that wasn't what I wanted. But it's still no fun getting bit. So that's how I suggest opening tubs. And like I say, if you're really concerned about it, you can use like a tool, like a small hook that you can slide in there and open it with. But honestly, guys, on a ball python, that's really not necessary. We're not talking about anything life-threatening. We keep these for when we work, other things. So, all right, Kurt, any other questions?
Nope.
All right, guys, thanks for watching, and thanks for sticking with us for 100 videos. It really does mean a lot. And it may not seem like a big thing to some people, but, man, we started this channel, and we didn't know what to expect, And if you watch some of our early videos, I think you can tell that, we didn't even correct anything. We still really don't correct much. We just kind of roll with it because it's the style we've chosen to go with. But to have so much support from people and to be able to do it for this long and to watch it grow, have it continue to grow has been a blessing. So I do sincerely thank all of you for sticking with us. If you can, share a few of these videos. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button, please do. We really, really appreciate it, and we want to see this channel keep growing. And for us, it's kind of a way to get our story out there. And I think when you watch reptile channels, you see a lot of channels from guys like, and not to name drop too many, but I'm going to anyway, like, Brian Barczyk and Justin Kublika, and these guys who have been in the game for a long time. And they're, larger players. They've been around. I know Kublika likes to say he's the biggest small breeder or something like that. But they've been at it for a long time. And you see a lot of those guys. You'll see Nerd. These people who have been doing it in the industry for 15, 25, 30 years. So when we started ours, we thought it was interesting because we wanted to start showing you from the ground up how we began early on in our, I guess you'll call it, reptile breeding career. And we wanted to take you with us in that journey from near the beginning all the way through. And we don't know where that ends yet. Like, that hasn't been decided. We hope it ends, 50 years from now we're old and gray. But we wanted you to be able to come along with us for that whole ride. So everything's out in the open. Successes, failures, things that we learn, things that we change, and we will. We want it to be exposed. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the support that we get from you guys a lot on that. So thank you very much. And that's something I honestly mean. It's not shallow. I really, really appreciate it. I know camera guy Kurt's filming her. He'd say the same thing. So please stick with us, and hopefully we can do some great things together. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.